All right, let's dive in. Today we're taking a deep dive into the world of Tibetan Buddhism,
Oh, exciting.
specifically the Dzogchen tradition.
Ah,
Think of it like we're on this quest for like unshakable truth, you know?
yeah.
That certainty we all crave amidst all the chaos of life.
Mm-hmm.
Our guidebook for this wild ride is Journey to Certainty, the quintessence of the Dzogchen View.
Okay.
It's a commentary on a text by this brilliant Tibetan Buddhist scholar, Mipham Rinpoche, from the 19th century.
I've heard of him.
Have you?
Yeah, he's known for his super clear explanations and bridging different schools of thought, right?
Exactly. It's like he was able to cut through the dogma and get to the heart of things.
What's so captivating about Dzogchen, it means great perfection in Tibetan,
Okay.
is that it goes beyond just understanding ultimate reality. It's about experiencing it.
Ah, so it's not just head knowledge, but a lived truth.
Yeah, exactly.
Before we get too deep into the weeds, can you give us some background on Mipham Rinpoche?
Sure. What made him such a respected figure was his ability to, like I said, bridge different schools of thought within Tibetan Buddhism.
Oh, right, because there are multiple schools, aren't there?
Yeah, there are four main ones: Nyingma, Sakya, Kagyu, and Gelug.
And they all have, like, slightly different perspectives.
Yeah, and they even had some pretty heated debates about certain Buddhist concepts back in the day.
Oh, wow. It's like they were all climbing the same mountain enlightenment, but taking different routes.
That's a great analogy. And while they had their differences, Mipham Rinpoche saw the value in each one.
Hmm, that's really cool.
Yeah, he deeply respected all of them.
That's awesome.
This
though.
actually leads us to the book we're exploring, Journey to Certainty.
Okay.
Mipham's own teacher asked him to write it to clarify the path to this Dzogchen view.
Wow, his own teacher requested this.
Yeah, he saw something special in Mipham, this incredible clarity that could really illuminate this profound path.
That's incredible. So in this text, he's like laying out a roadmap for us.
Exactly. He tackles some seriously mind-bending philosophical questions.
Like what? Give us an example.
Well, he starts by diving straight into the deep end with the question, how do we understand ultimate reality?
Okay, that's a big one.
Yeah, and he asks, is it what's called an affirming negative or a non-affirming negative?
I'm gonna be honest, those terms sound a bit intimidating.
Don't worry, I'm here to break it down.
I appreciate that.
It all boils down to this central debate in Tibetan Buddhism about the nature of emptiness.
Right, emptiness. That's a concept I always find a bit tricky.
It can be. So there are two main views on emptiness, Rangtong and Shentong.
Okay, so like two different ways of looking at the same thing.
Exactly. Think of them like two different lenses.
Got it.
Rangtong, which was championed by later scholars like Tsongkhapa, emphasizes the emptiness of self,
Okay.
meaning things don't have this fixed, independent self or essence.
So like a car isn't inherently a car, it's just a bunch of parts we label as a car.
Precisely.
Okay, I think I'm getting that.
Now, Shentong, which is more common among the Jonangpas and some Kagyupas, focuses on the emptiness of other.
Emptiness of other.
Yeah, it suggests things are empty of all external designations or labels. They're empty of everything that isn't them.
Okay, so with the car example, the car is empty of like the road, the driver, the other cars around it.
You got it. To make this even clearer, let's use that classic Buddhist analogy, the cup.
Ooh, I love a good analogy.
So, Rangtong says the cup is empty of inherent cupness.
Right, it's just a collection of elements we label as a cup.
Yeah. And Shentong would say the cup is empty of everything that isn't the cup.
So empty of the table it's sitting on, the liquid inside it, all that.
Exactly. It's empty this context, all the labels we impose on it.
Wow, okay, so those are two very different ways of looking at the same thing.
Right. Now, where do you think Mipham Rinpoche fits into all of this?
Good question. Does he pick a side?
Well, true to his bridge-building nature, he actually presents a perspective that transcends both Rangtong and Shentong.
He goes beyond the debate itself.
Exactly. He argues that ultimate reality is entirely beyond concepts and positions, including those two.
Wow. So ultimate reality is like beyond our attempts to define it.
Precisely. He calls this the uncontrived view of Dzogchen.
The uncontrived view. Okay, that's pretty mind-blowing. But like, why should we care about these intricate philosophical debates?
That's a great question.
Like, what's the takeaway for us, the listeners?
Well, it's not just about intellectual understanding.
Oh, okay.
Mipham Rinpoche and the Dzogchen tradition as a whole emphasize that true realization comes through practice, through meditation, and direct experience.
So it's not just philosophy, but about applying these ideas to our lives, experiencing them.
Absolutely. And this leads us to another fascinating concept in the book.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
The 6 types of beings and perception.
6 types of beings.
Yeah. The book asks this question. How can water be perceived as nectar by gods, poison by hell beings, and plain water by us humans?
Wow, that's a really interesting point. It's the same water, but experienced so differently.
It really highlights the subjective nature of reality, right?
Yeah.
To understand this, we need to delve into this Buddhist concept of valid cognition.
Valid cognition. Okay, what's that all about?
Essentially, it means accurate perception,
Okay.
but it's always relative to the perceiver.
So like different beings with their own karma and experiences, they might see the same thing in completely different ways.
Exactly. But all those perceptions are valid within their own context.
So even when we feel completely certain about something, we should remember that our perception is just that, our perception.
Right.
It's shaped by our own experiences and biases.
Absolutely.
And recognizing this inherent relativity, it can be such a powerful step on the path to greater understanding.
And compassion.
Exactly. It encourages us to be more open-minded.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it can help us navigate those, frustrating disagreements we all have.
Oh, totally. Instead of getting stuck in this I'm right, you're wrong mentality.
Yeah. We can start to see the validity in other perspectives.
That's so important, especially nowadays when it feels like everyone is so polarized.
I know, right? Recognizing this relativity of perception could be a real game changer for those kinds of conversations.
For real. And understanding this idea of valid cognition, it brings us to another crucial element on the path to certainty.
Which,
The power of meditation. It's
Yeah.
right there in the title of the book, Journey to Certainty.
right.
But what does it really mean to be certain in the Dzogchen tradition?
It's a good question.
It doesn't just mean being stubborn or closed-minded, right?
Definitely not.
So what is it?
Well, certainty in this context points to this unshakable conviction in the nature of reality.
Okay.
It's not about blind faith or dogma, but this deep experiential knowing that comes through practice, through quieting the mind and seeing reality more clearly.
So it's not just about understanding emptiness intellectually, but like feeling it, experiencing it.
You got it. And that's where meditation comes in. The book talks about how mental chatter and doubt are like the main obstacles to this kind of certainty.
Makes sense. They cloud our perception.
Yeah, exactly. They prevent us from seeing things clearly.
It's like trying to see through a dirty window.
Exactly. And Mipham Rinpoche, he uses this term supreme certainty
Okay.
to describe this unshakable conviction in the nature of reality.
It sounds incredibly powerful, like achieving this unwavering inner peace.
Right.
But how do we actually cultivate this kind of certainty?
Well, it's a process.
Is it just like sitting down and meditating and hoping for the best?
It's through practice, both meditation and engaging with the teachings. The book talks about this crucial relationship between the inner and outer lamas.
Inner and outer lamas. Okay, I've heard of lamas, but what's the difference?
The outer lama is your teacher, the one who guides you on the path.
Okay.
The inner lama, on the other hand, represents the wisdom that arises within you through practice.
So it's like a dynamic duo of guidance.
Yeah, exactly.
The external teacher points the way, and the wisdom we cultivate within illuminates the path.
Yes, and that inner wisdom, that inner lama, it becomes more accessible as you progress and deepen your certainty.
This reminds me of this common idea in meditation, just emptying the mind, letting go of all thoughts. Is that enough to achieve this certainty in the Dzogchen view?
Well, Dzogchen goes beyond just emptying the mind. It's not
Okay.
just quieting the mind. It's about transforming afflictive emotions into wisdom through the power of rigpa.
Rigpa, reminder time.
Yeah, rigpa is that primordially present awareness we talked about earlier.
Right.
The ground of your being, the nature of mind itself.
Always there, but often hidden.
Exactly. So Dzogchen is about tapping into that rigpa and using it to transform how we experience ourselves and the world.
Got it. The book uses a great analogy to illustrate this.
What's that?
An arrow shot from a bow.
Okay.
Initially, the arrow flies with great force, representing the energy of rigpa.
Right.
But eventually it falls back to earth.
So what's the analogy say?
I think it's saying that even if we have a glimpse of rigpa, that pure awareness, it's not enough to just have a burst of insight. We need to cultivate it, let it transform us.
You're getting it. It takes consistent practice to allow that arrow of rigpa to fly further and stay aloft for longer.
This makes sense. We wouldn't expect to become an Olympic athlete overnight.
Exactly.
It takes training, dedication, consistent effort.
Yeah.
The same goes for realizing our true nature, cultivating certainty.
Absolutely. And this brings us to another term you might have heard in the context of Dzogchen,
Okay, hit me with it.
Attioga.
Attioga Dzogchen. Okay, what's so special about that?
It's considered like the pinnacle of the tantric path.
Okay.
It's seen as a direct path to realizing the nature of mind.
Like an express lane to enlightenment.
You could say that,
Mm.
but it's important to remember that it still requires a solid foundation of practice.
No skipping steps,
Oh.
even on the express lane.
Right. One of the unique aspects of Attioga is this idea of direct introduction.
Direct introduction.
Yeah, where the teacher directly reveals the ultimate nature of mind to the student.
Wow, that sounds intense, like mind-blowing.
It can be.
Mm.
But as the book explains, it's not about adding something new. It's about recognizing what's already there.
Mm.
It's like meeting an old friend, you know?
Like waking up from a dream and remembering who you truly are.
Exactly. And that's what makes this journey so exciting. You know?
Yeah.
It's not about becoming someone else, but uncovering the truth of who you already are.
I love that. Okay, before we move on, can we touch upon that 6-syllable mantra you mentioned earlier?
Sure.
The one Mipham Rinpoche emphasized.
Yes. The 6-syllable mantra, Ara Padsanama, it's considered a powerful tool in the Dzogchen tradition.
Each syllable represents something. Yeah.
Yes, each syllable represents a different stage of transformation.
So it's not just a random chant. It's like a map for uncovering our true nature.
Exactly. Mipham Rinpoche provides a detailed explanation of each syllable and its significance.
Okay, I can't wait to unpack that more. But for now, can we recap what we've covered so far? Like, what are the key takeaways for our listeners?
Yeah, correct.
What should they be pondering?
Okay, first off, understanding those different viewpoints on emptiness, Rangtong, and Shintong, it's crucial.
It's like approaching the same concept from totally different angles.
Exactly. And even if we don't agree with a certain perspective, understanding it can help us be more open and compassionate.
Absolutely. And that brings us to our second takeaway. Mipham Rinpoche's uncontrived view reminds us that ultimate reality is beyond our attempts to define it.
Right. It's about letting go of our need to label everything and be right all the time.
So true. And then there's this idea of valid cognition, our third takeaway.
Yep. That encourages us to recognize the limitations of our own viewpoints.
And to be open to the possibility that other perspectives, even those that seem totally different, might be valid within their own framework.
Well, exactly. That can have a huge impact on how we communicate and relate to others.
Especially during disagreements.
For sure. And lastly, our fourth takeaway. Realizing that ultimate certainty isn't just an intellectual understanding,
Right.
but this deep experiential knowing that arises through practice.
Especially in the Dzogchen tradition, which emphasizes the power of rigpa.
Yes, that pure awareness that's always present.
So it's not just about grasping these concepts in our heads,
Right.
but embodying them, experiencing them directly.
Exactly. And that practice, that journey towards certainty, it's a lifelong endeavor.
I love that. A lifelong journey of discovery.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I'm definitely ready to continue this exploration.
We do.
We'll be back in part 2 to dive deeper into that 6-syllable mantra.
Okay, sounds good.
I'm so excited to unpack the wisdom contained in each syllable. Until then, stay curious, everyone, and keep those minds open.
Always.
All right, welcome back to our deep dive into Journey to Certainty.
Part 2.
Last time we left off with this intriguing idea of a 6-syllable mantra
Right.
that acts as a guide
Mm.
to realizing this Dzogchen view.
Yeah.
I am so curious to unpack this.
Okay, let's do it.
Where do we even begin?
Well, each syllable in the mantra,
Okay.
Rapatsanama,
Rapatsanama.
each one represents a different stage
Okay.
of transformation on the path.
So it's like step by step.
Yeah, like a step-by-step guide
Okay.
to uncover your true nature
Okay.
and realize that unshakable certainty we've been talking about.
It's amazing how something so simple, just 6 syllables,
Right.
can hold so much depth.
Yeah, and the beauty is
Yeah.
by engaging with the mantra, not just like reciting it,
Okay.
but really contemplating the meaning,
Okay.
you can start to embody those stages.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, integrate them into your actual experience.
So it's not just a mental exercise, it actually transforms us.
Exactly. It's a practice
Yeah.
that transforms you on a deeper level.
All right, shall we start with the first syllable then?
Let's do it.
What does this seemingly simple sound represent in the grand scheme of things?
symbolizes the unborn nature of all phenomena.
Okay, the unborn nature.
It points to that fundamental ground of being,
Okay.
like the very source from which everything arises.
So it's like acknowledging that reality isn't this static thing,
Yeah.
but like this ever-unfolding process,
Yes.
always changing, always in motion.
Think of it like the ocean.
Okay.
The waves, they rise and fall, constantly changing.
Right.
But the ocean itself,
Yeah.
the depths,
Yeah.
remain undisturbed.
Okay, I can see that. So how does chanting actually like help us with this?
Well, Mipham Rinpoche explains that chanting connects you with that unborn, unconditioned nature of reality. And it helps you shift your perspective from this limited dualistic view,
Okay.
where everything seems separate and solid,
Yeah.
to this more expansive, non-dual awareness.
So it's like stepping back from all the chaos of life and tapping into this underlying peace.
Exactly. And by connecting with that ground of being,
Okay.
you start to realize that sense of certainty. That unshakable knowing that's not dependent on outside circumstances.
That's powerful. Okay, on to the second syllable, Ra.
Ra.
What does this one represent on this journey?
Ra represents stainlessness.
Stainlessness.
Yeah, the purification of obscurations.
So by obscurations, you mean like negative emotions, limiting beliefs.
Yes, precisely.
All that stuff that clouds our perception
Exactly.
and keeps us from seeing clearly.
Ra reminds you that your true nature is inherently pure,
Okay.
untainted by all those obscurations.
So it's like polishing a mirror,
Exactly.
removing all the dust, the grime.
Yep, so it can reflect clearly.
So chanting Ra helps us cleanse those impurities and see our true nature.
Yes.
It's like a sonic scrub for the soul.
I love that, a sonic scrub.
Yeah.
And as you purify those obscurations, you start to experience this greater sense of clarity, peace, and, yes, certainty.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, what about the third syllable? Pa.
Okay, Pa.
Where does that fit into all of this?
Pa is associated with the appearance of the ultimate nature.
Okay, so it's not just about realizing the emptiness of everything,
Right.
but also recognizing how that emptiness manifests as the phenomenal world.
Yeah, as everything we experience.
It's like realizing that the canvas is empty,
Yeah,
but it's also the foundation for this vibrant painting.
that's beautiful. Chanting Pa helps you cultivate that vision,
Okay.
that awareness of interconnectedness.
Okay, we're halfway through. What does the fourth syllable, Tsa, bring to the table?
Sa symbolizes the inseparability of
yeah.
appearance and emptiness.
So this brings us back to the non-dual view, right?
Exactly.
The idea that everything is interconnected
Yes.
and ultimately one.
Sa reminds you that appearance and emptiness are not two separate things,
Okay.
but two sides of the same coin.
Oh, okay.
They rise together, dependently.
So instead of getting caught up in the illusion of separation,
Yeah.
we start to see the unity, the wholeness of everything.
Yes. And chanting Sa helps you integrate that understanding, that non-dual view, into your experience.
It's about embodying that wisdom, not just intellectually grasping it.
Exactly.
Okay, 2 more syllables to go. What does Na symbolize?
Na points to the realization
Okay.
that the ultimate nature is beyond words and concepts.
Right.
It's a reminder that language, while helpful, it can only take us so far.
Yeah, it's like trying to describe the taste of chocolate to someone who's never had it.
Right.
No matter how many words you use, they won't fully get it until they have that direct experience.
Exactly. And chanting Na helps you let go of that clinging to concepts, that need to define and label everything.
Right.
It allows you to open up to a more direct, intuitive knowing,
Got it.
knowing that transcends language.
Moving beyond the mind, into the heart, into direct experience.
Beautifully put.
And now the final syllable, the grand finale,
Yeah.
Ma. What does this culminating sound represent?
Ma represents the culmination of the path,
Okay.
the complete realization of the Dzogchen View.
So it's about embodying that non-dual wisdom, that certainty.
Yes.
Not just in our heads, but like living it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about integrating all the previous stages, recognizing the unborn nature, purifying obscurations, seeing the appearance of the ultimate, realizing the inseparability of appearance and emptiness, and transcending concepts into this complete and unified realization.
Wow, what a journey. From that ground of being all the way to Ma, the full realization,
Yes.
each syllable, like a powerful reminder of the transformative path.
It's important to remember, though,
Yeah.
Mipham Rinpoche, he emphasizes that Chanting this mantra isn't just reciting sounds,
Okay.
but contemplating the meaning behind each syllable,
Okay.
allowing that meaning to penetrate your heart and mind.
So engaging with the mantra on multiple levels,
Yeah.
sonic, mental,
It's a
experiential.
multi-dimensional practice. It
Yeah.
works on you from the inside out.
Yeah, and through that engagement, we gradually transform our perception,
Right.
moving from this limited dualistic view to this more expansive non-dual awareness.
Exactly. You start to see the world and yourself differently.
Okay.
The sense of separation starts to dissolve, and that unshakable certainty, it emerges.
This is so inspiring.
Right.
I can see why this mantra is considered such a powerful tool in the Dzogchen tradition.
Yeah.
But, like, how does this all connect back to the book's title, Journey to Certainty?
Okay, good question.
How does this mantra help us cultivate that certainty?
The mantra acts as a guide on that journey.
Okay.
Each syllable points you toward a deeper understanding of reality,
Okay.
helping you chip away at the doubts and obscurations that prevent you from experiencing that certainty.
So it's like a roadmap, a
Exactly.
set of directions for navigating the terrain of our own minds.
You got it. And by engaging with the mantra, you're essentially training your mind
Okay.
to recognize
Yeah.
and rest in that certainty.
So it's not about forcing certainty, but allowing it to arise naturally through practice.
Precisely. It's aligning your inner experience with the ultimate truth revealed by the Dzogchen teachings.
This reminds me of the inner and outer lamas concept.
Oh, yeah, good connection.
How does the mantra relate to that?
Well, you could say that the mantra acts as a bridge
Okay.
between the outer lama, the teacher, and the inner lama, the wisdom within you.
So the outer lama gives us the teachings,
Yeah,
and the mantra helps us internalize them and connect with our own wisdom.
exactly. It's this dynamic interplay
Okay.
between external guidance and inner realization,
Okay.
facilitated by the mantra.
That's beautiful. But, playing devil's advocate here,
Okay,
is the mantra enough on its own?
that's an important question.
Like, do we just chant this mantra and boom, enlightenment?
It's not a magic bullet,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
The mantra is powerful, but it's not enough on its own.
Okay.
It needs to be integrated with other practices, particularly meditation.
So it's about weaving it into our wider practice.
Exactly. And this brings us back to that key point in Dzogchen, the importance of direct experience.
Okay.
Realizing those truths for yourself through meditation.
It's not enough to just understand it. We have to embody it.
Exactly. The mantra points the way,
Yeah.
but you got to walk the path.
I'm curious about that direct introduction.
Yeah.
We talked about it before, but how does that actually work?
Well, as we mentioned,
Yeah.
direct introduction is this unique aspect of Dzogchen,
Right.
where the teacher directly reveals the nature of mind.
But how is that even possible?
Imagine you've never seen your own face.
Okay.
You've heard descriptions, seen photos, but never looked in a mirror.
Okay. I'm following.
Then someone holds up a mirror and you see your face
Okay.
for the first time.
Yeah.
It's not that they're creating your face,
Right.
but they're providing the conditions for you to see what was always there.
So the teacher's like the mirror,
Exactly.
reflecting our true nature back to us.
Yeah. And just like seeing your face for the first time, that direct introduction can be profound.
Okay. But there's a catch.
There's always a catch.
It requires a certain level of receptivity,
Okay.
a certain degree of certainty for that recognition to occur.
So the student needs to be ready.
Yes.
Yeah.
Imagine trying to explain calculus to a toddler.
Right. They wouldn't get it.
Exactly. So you need to cultivate that foundation of understanding and
Yeah.
certainty through practice.
Before we can fully receive the transmission.
Right, and that's why the book emphasizes those earlier stages.
Yeah.
Understanding the viewpoints on emptiness,
Yeah.
recognizing the limitations of your perception,
Right.
engaging with the teachings, and cultivating that supreme certainty
Okay.
through practice.
It's all connected.
It is, and it's a gradual process, a journey of unfolding,
Yeah, yeah.
as you shed those layers of confusion
Yeah, kinda.
and move closer to that ultimate realization.
Speaking of confusion,
Yeah.
something's been bugging me.
We've been talking about this uncontrived view, emptiness, the nature of mind.
Right.
But how do we reconcile that with the everyday world?
That's a good question.
Our experiences, the ups and downs,
It's a crucial question.
joy, sorrow.
Yeah.
How does Dzogchen address that?
It's one of the most profound aspects.
Yeah.
The idea of integrating wisdom into everyday life.
So it's not about escaping the world, but transforming our experience of it.
I got it. It's
Yeah.
not about denying the reality of your experiences,
Right.
but seeing them through this lens of wisdom,
Okay.
recognizing their impermanent, interconnected nature.
So we're holding the two truths, right?
Yes, exactly.
The ultimate truth of emptiness
Yes.
and the relative truth of our everyday experience.
You got it.
It's not about choosing one over the other,
Right.
but integrating them.
Exactly. Recognizing that emptiness isn't separate from the world,
Right.
but the very ground from which it arises.
But like, how do we actually do that? Integrate these two truths in our daily lives.
It's about bringing the insights of Dzogchen,
Okay.
that awareness of emptiness, that certainty,
Yeah.
into every moment.
So it's not about like meditating all day long, but bringing that wisdom to everything we do.
Exactly. The book uses the example of a skilled archer.
Ooh, another analogy.
The skilled archer doesn't just aim at the target. They embody the principles of archery in their stance, their breath, their entire being.
So we're embodying those Dzogchen principles in every action.
Exactly.
It's about integrating wisdom into everything we do.
Yeah, the very fabric of your life.
This brings up another question for me.
Okay, what's that?
What about all the practices we associate with Tibetan Buddhism?
Yeah.
The rituals, the visualizations,
Yeah.
where do they fit into the Dzogchen path?
Dzogchen doesn't dismiss those practices.
So it's not about rejecting tradition.
Not at all. Those practices can be incredibly powerful tools.
Okay, but how do they relate to the uncontrived view, that emphasis on direct experience?
Imagine you're learning to play the piano.
All right, let's hear this analogy.
At first, you need sheet music, scales, exercises.
Okay, to develop our skills.
Exactly. But as you progress,
Yeah.
you might start to improvise, to create music from a deeper place.
So that's where Dzogchen comes in.
Yes, that direct experience, that uncontrived expression.
The practices, the rituals,
Yes.
they're like the foundation.
Exactly. They help you develop the foundation, the stability, the clarity.
To access that deeper level.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The ultimate aim in Dzogchen is to realize that uncontrived state directly,
Okay.
without relying on external supports.
But if Dzogchen is all about direct experience, why do we even need teachings?
That's a great question. And it highlights a paradox.
What paradox?
Yeah. On one hand, Dzogchen says your true nature is perfect, complete, always present.
Right, so nothing to attain.
Exactly. But on the other hand,
Yeah.
we clearly experience confusion, suffering, and a
Right.
sense of separation.
So we need something to help us wake up from that illusion.
Precisely. That's where the teachings come in.
They're like a catalyst
Yeah, guys.
to help us recognize what's already there.
Imagine you have a priceless diamond in your pocket.
Okay, a diamond in my pocket.
You might not even know it's there.
Right.
Or you might mistake it for a simple stone.
Yeah.
But someone who recognizes its value.
Okay.
It can point it out to you, show you its brilliance.
So the teachings are like that wise friend.
Yes.
Showing us the treasure we already have.
Exactly. They provide the context, the guidance.
To help us realize our true nature.
Yeah, it's not about adding something new, but revealing what was always there.
Hidden beneath all those layers of confusion.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of the Dzogchen path.
Yeah.
It's a journey of uncovering, of remembering,
Okay.
realizing the fullness of your being.
And that was always present, but we just couldn't see it.
Exactly.
And that reminds me
Yeah.
that the book was written at the request of Mipham Rinpoche's teacher.
Exactly. His teacher recognized his profound understanding and asked him to write this as a guide for others.
So it's this lineage of wisdom being passed down.
It is. We are part of that lineage.
Wow. It's humbling.
It is.
Okay, so for our listeners,
Yeah.
what's the most important message about the mantra, the heart of it all?
This mantra isn't just a collection of sounds.
Okay.
It's a powerful tool for transformation.
Bah.
By engaging with it, contemplating the meaning, integrating it into your practice,
Right.
you can embody those stages of the Dzogchen path
Okay.
and move closer to that unshakable certainty.
It's like a secret code,
I like that.
unlocking the door to our true nature.
And remember, this journey isn't about becoming someone else.
Right.
It's about uncovering who you already are.
Yeah.
The mantra, the teachings, the practice, all supports
Yeah.
to help you remember your own wisdom
You love that.
and wake up to the fullness of your being.
This has been so insightful. I feel like we've climbed this mountain of wisdom.
Yeah.
And now we're at the peak.
We are.
Looking out at this vast landscape of possibility.
There's always more to discover, though.
That's true.
Right. Always more to discover.
The journey is just as important as the destination.
I love that. Well, we'll have to continue our exploration of Journey to Certainty in Part 3.
Sounds good.
We still got a lot of ground to cover.
We do.
Wow. Welcome back to our final part of this deep dive
I know, right?
into Journey to Certainty.
Time flies when you're having fun.
It does. Exploring the Dzogchen path has been so enriching, eye-opening, really.
It really makes you think.
It does. As we've been unpacking these ideas,
Yeah.
I keep coming back to this one question.
Okay, what is it?
If Dzogchen is all about recognizing what's already perfect within us,
Right.
like why do we even need teachings or practices?
Ah, yes.
The million-dollar question.
Right. Why not just chill and enjoy the ride?
It highlights this paradox at the heart of Dzogchen.
Okay, a paradox.
On the one hand, the teachings say our true nature is already enlightened.
So we've got it all right here, right now.
In theory, yes.
Okay.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
Even though that perfection is always present,
Okay.
we rarely experience it directly.
Oh, I see.
We get caught up in the drama,
Yeah.
our thoughts, emotions, all that.
Constantly striving for something we think we lack.
Exactly. Like we were saying before, it's like having a diamond in your pocket.
Right. But not knowing it's there.
Exactly. We're oblivious to the treasure.
Okay.
And that's where the teachings come in.
They're like the guide.
Yes. They point us towards that diamond.
So we can finally see it.
It's not about adding something new or changing who you are.
Right.
It's about removing those obstacles that cloud our vision.
The things that keep us from seeing our true nature.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All the teachings, the mantra, the practices,
Mhm.
they're tools
Okay.
to help us polish that diamond
Oh, I love that analogy.
and reveal its brilliance.
So we can shine.
Yes. Now, you mentioned something earlier that I'd like to explore a bit further.
Okay, what's that?
The distinction between the Hinayana and Mahayana approaches.
Oh, yeah, that's an important one.
It's crucial for understanding Dzogchen, which falls under the Mahayana umbrella.
Okay, so like big picture stuff.
Yeah. Hinayana, which means lesser vehicle,
Okay.
focuses on individual liberation from suffering.
So it's about freeing yourself from that cycle of birth and death.
Exactly. Reaching nirvana.
Okay, got it.
The goal is to become an arhat.
Right, someone who has attained enlightenment for themselves.
Yeah, they've eradicated their afflictions.
Makes sense. Now, how does Mahayana differ?
Mahayana, meaning greater vehicle,
Okay.
takes a wider view.
Wider in what sense?
It emphasizes the bodhisattva ideal,
Okay, the bodhisattva.
aspiring to achieve full Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings.
So it's not just about personal liberation.
Right. It's about helping everyone.
Extending that compassion outward.
Exactly. It's about recognizing our interconnectedness.
So our liberation is tied to everyone else's liberation.
Precisely. And this difference in approach, it influences how they understand emptiness.
Okay, so how does that work?
Hinayana, they primarily focus on the emptiness of self.
Like we talked about Rangtong.
Yeah, recognizing there's no permanent I or soul.
So they're realizing that personal emptiness.
Yes. But Mahayana teachings, including Dzogchen, they go a step further.
How so?
They emphasize the emptiness of all phenomena, not just the self.
So it's not just I am empty,
Right.
but everything is empty.
Exactly. And this changes how we understand reality.
Oh, yes, I'm curious. How?
Well, it leads to a deeper understanding of interconnectedness.
Okay, so everything's linked.
Yeah, when we see that everything is empty of inherent existence,
Okay.
we see that nothing truly exists in isolation.
It's all interdependent.
Exactly. Arising together in this web of mutual causality.
And I can see how this realization could lead to, like, a deeper sense of compassion.
Absolutely.
Right, because if we're all interconnected, harming others is harming ourselves.
Precisely. And this understanding also deepens our certainty.
Interesting.
How so? The more we see through the illusion of separation, the more we realize our true nature.
Okay.
That unchanging ground of being.
It's all coming together.
It is. But I know this can all sound pretty abstract.
It can. That's what I love about these deep dives, so
Yeah.
we get to really unpack these ideas.
Absolute.
But one question that keeps popping up for me,
What is it?
if ultimate reality is beyond concepts, beyond words,
Yeah.
how can we even talk about it?
That's the challenge with teaching Dzogchen.
Right. Like, Mipham Rinpoche even acknowledges this in the book.
He does. He says words can only point us in the right direction.
Okay.
They can't fully encapsulate the experience.
Right, because it's beyond language.
Exactly. And that's why Dzogchen emphasizes direct transmission.
Oh, right, from teacher to student.
Yeah, it's a heart-to-heart transmission.
Beyond words and concepts.
Like we said before, the teacher is like a mirror.
Reflecting our true nature.
Exactly.
But how do we know if we've actually had that realization?
That is the question.
Right, like how do we distinguish between genuine insight
Right.
And just our own wishful thinking.
That's where discernment comes in.
Okay, discernment, that inner wisdom
Yes.
we cultivate through practice.
The book says true certainty is characterized by stability, clarity,
Okay.
and freedom from doubt.
So it's not just a feeling,
Right.
but a deep knowing that permeates everything.
Exactly. It influences your thoughts, actions, how you relate to the world.
It's like a transformation that unfolds over time.
It is. Gradually and naturally.
Okay, I have one final big question.
Okay, let's hear it.
We've talked about certainty, emptiness, realizing our true nature,
Yeah.
which all sounds amazing.
It is pretty amazing.
But what about all the suffering in the world?
That's a big one.
The pain, the injustice, the challenges we face?
Right.
How does Dzogchen address that?
Dzogchen doesn't offer a quick fix
Oh.
or a way to escape suffering.
So it's not about pretending everything's perfect.
Definitely not. It's about recognizing the nature of suffering,
Okay.
seeing it as a product of clinging.
Clinging to what?
To that illusion of a separate self.
Right, that we're independent, isolated beings.
Exactly. The more we cling to that illusion,
Yeah.
the more we suffer.
Okay.
But as we cultivate certainty, as we realize emptiness,
Yeah.
we naturally develop compassion.
For ourselves and others?
Yes, because we start to see the interconnectedness.
Right, we're all in this together.
Exactly. And that compassion motivates us to act, to alleviate suffering.
So it's not about retreating from the world?
No. It's about engaging with it
Okay.
more skillfully, more compassionately.
This reminds me of the Bodhisattva ideal,
Oh, yes.
helping all beings achieve enlightenment.
Exactly. It's recognizing that our liberation is tied to everyone's liberation.
It's a beautiful vision.
It is.
It gives me hope that even amidst the suffering, there's a path to freedom.
And that's the heart of it all.
As we wrap up this deep dive into Journey to Certainty,
Yeah.
what's the one thing you want our listeners to remember?
Remember that certainty, that deep knowing.
Yeah.
It's not some distant goal. It's a potential within each of us.
It's already there.
Exactly. It's not about becoming someone new, but realizing who you truly are.
Journey to Certainty gives us the tools for that journey.
It does. Through the teachings, the practice, cultivating compassion,
We can uncover that certainty.
and bring it into the world.
Such a powerful message. We've only just scratched the surface of this path.
I know, right? There's always more to discover.
That's the beauty of it. Well, folks, that's our deep dive into Journey to Certainty.
Hope you enjoyed it.
I encourage you to explore the book, continue the journey.
Yeah, keep diving deeper.
Until next time, keep seeking, keep questioning, keep exploring the mystery of your own being.
That's it. See you next time.